Good morning, everybody. My name is Don Daniel, founder of P.I.L.L Method International, a better way to eliminate debt. And today, our show is going to be one that we've never, ever done before. We're talking about how to stop foreclosures, okay? And I think you're going to really, really like this show. So if you're watching us on YouTube, you will be able to find the link pinned to the comment section. You can literally come into our show and be on the show, video and everything, or just audio to ask questions. So if you want to come on the show, instead of typing in the comments, you can literally join our live show. The link is in the chat section. Just go there and click on it and follow the directions. So, folks, let's get ready. First of all, I want to share this with you. The information that we're getting ready to share is very, very important. The idea of a 40-year mortgage is foreign to people. All right. They don't like that. The idea seems like you're going to be in debt forever. But I'm going to show you the numbers that the 40-year mortgage can actually work to your benefit if you know what's going on. People need to know this. So I need your help. Share this with everybody. Share the P.I.L.L Method channel with everyone, please. And when you come in here, don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you're subscribing to the P.I.L.L Method channel and tell everybody you know that we're giving out information that you will not get anywhere else. All right. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. So let's go ahead and get prepared to start the show in earnest. Here is our theme music. Let's get started. I'm going to put some stuff on the screen. You are going to love today. Oh my gosh, the title of the show, Stop Foreclosures with a 40-year mortgage modification. Can you believe that? Somebody's actually going to promote a 40-year mortgage. Listen, just tell me wherever you're watching us from, what is your first thought when you hear 40-year mortgage? All right, what's your first thought? All right, when you hear that? So let me put myself on the screen here. What's your first thought when you hear 40-year mortgage? All right, just put it in the chat. If you're here in Clubhouse, I need you to raise your hand, come up to the stage. Oh, Elizabeth wants to come up. Okay, great. Let's invite her up. All right, there you go. Good morning, Elizabeth. How are you? All right. And Troy wants to come on up. How you doing, Troy? Come on up. Elizabeth, how are you this morning? All right, something's happening. I can't hear. Troy, try your microphone. What is going on that I can't hear you guys? Am I doing something wrong? All right. I am not hearing you guys. Let me see if I can fix my. Everything was working fine a minute ago. All right. Let's see here. Take this out. And okay, let's try it now. All right. And I've got all my buttons are working. And you guys can hear me fine, can't you? All right. But I am not hearing you guys. And my volume is all the way up. Hold on, let me try this. Okay, try it now. Say something now, Troy. All right, I'm not hearing you guys at all. And I don't know how to fix it. Okay? But anyway, um and having you guys here to talk to me, that is what I need today. Check my mute. Okay. Let me see here. Well, I'm using my iPad, and it's not muted. I'm turning it all the way down, turning it all the way up, and I was just in another room, and it worked fine. Huh? I don't know what's going on here. Let me do this. Let me go here and try something else. Audio. Let me try audio quality. See if I can fix it that way. All right. I just changed the audio quality. All right. Try to say something now, folks. Troy. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Try going out and coming back in. I don't know. I would hate to stop. And then what I'm going to do if that doesn't work, I'm going to mod somebody, and then I'm going to go out and come back in because I need to have you in this conversation today. So, Elizabeth, let's get you back up here. All right. Anybody else want to come to the stage so I can fix this audio problem? Raise your hand. Come on up. Oh, wow. Raise your hand. Come on up. All right. So until then, we're going to continue on. And if you want to participate and you want to come on live on YouTube, everybody here that's on YouTube right now or Facebook, you can click the link that's pinned to the top, and you can literally join me on our live show this morning. Okay. So let's go ahead and get ready. I'm going to put some things on the screen. If you're here on Clubhouse, click the link at the top. On another device, go to YouTube, search for P.I.L.L Method, and come on into the room. And right now, you can only type. Okay. So it says check your mute. I've done that. You can hear me, but I can't hear you. All right. That's it. All right. Well, we'll get it fixed. Okay, Troy, let me make you a moderator. All right. So stay in, Troy, whatever you do, stay in the room because I'm going to leave and I'm going to come back. So maybe it's my iPad. Okay. So hold on and I'll be right back. All right. So let's try going back in. All right. See if we can get this done.
All right, with him.
It was
great information. He's doing an excellent job. I highly recommend him.
It was my iPad.
Okay.
It was my iPad. I don't know what was happening, Troy. Listen, man, I am really excited about today's show. I see Karan. Karan, you cannot stay. Kenny, William, you guys cannot stay in the audience on this one, okay? Because I'm going to need everybody's help on this one today, okay?
Don, I told him I was going to talk about you behind your back.
All right. Okay. I need as many people on the stage as possible. Come on up. Get Elizabeth back up here. All right. Invite her back. Come on up. I can hear you now. So, Miss Elizabeth, how are you this morning?
Excellent. I want to answer your question.
Go ahead, answer the question.
The first thing I think of with the 40-year mortgage, except for I know you a little bit, is a terrible interest and paying triple for your property.
Yes, yes, yes. So listen, that is the first thought of everybody. But see, that means if you pay all 360 payments, all right? That's if you pay all 360 payments, and you don't have to do that. Let me see. I've got a comment here on YouTube. Oh, there she is. All right, Sinitra, I see you. I see you here, and fantastic. Good morning to you. All right, let's go ahead and put this on the screen. There you have it. There she is. She says, "Good morning, Don. Good morning to you." And Sinitra, can you see the link, the pin to the top? If you want, you can come on in. And let me see if I can put it in here again, paste it there, our StreamYard. Anybody who wants to come on stage on our live show, please do so. You can click that link and come on in so you can be live, and also so that you can be on camera, or you could just have audio. All right. But today, let me go ahead and put everything I need to on the screen. So let me add this to the stage. All right, there we have it. Okay, good. So folks, here's what we're going to be talking about. I need you to see this mortgage. It is a $200,000 mortgage at 6%. Here is the story behind all of this today. I had a phone call not too long ago from an individual who does Airbnb. And because of this, because of doing Airbnb, they have slow seasons and they have great seasons. So in their slow season, this year, they got behind 2 payments on the mortgage. And the mortgage company gave them several options to get caught up. So two of the options were, we'll divide up the 2 payments that you're behind, and will increase your mortgage payment for the next 6 months. That was one, so that you can get caught up. All right. The other one was they would take those 2 payments, divide them by 12, and then add that additional amount to the mortgage payment. Okay. And get caught up over 12 months. But here's the problem with that. It was the slow season. So increasing the payment isn't actually going to work. But when they told me that one of the options was getting a 40-year mortgage on an to get their mortgage modified, they can get a modification and then go to a 40-year amortization. All right. And they can and that way they will be brought up to date immediately, and it would lower their payment. And they even offered a lower interest rate. So lowering the payment and lowering the interest rate, she was I don't know, Don, but that 40-year mortgage scares me, but I do like the idea of a lower interest rate. Okay, that's what she was saying. So I said, let's take a look at the numbers. All right, let's take a look at that and see what we can do. All right, so here's what I told her. Let's take a look at this $200,000 mortgage at 6%. Let's look at the payment here as $1,199.10. First of all, this whole thing lies to people. So I need you all to encourage them to subscribe to our channel. Okay, whether you're on Clubhouse, make sure that you join this club. If you're online, make sure you follow us on the various social media outlets that you find us on, but especially YouTube. Okay, all right, because we're trying to grow our audience there, and I need to let me do this. Let me put this on the screen. Okay, so make sure you subscribe. Okay, so here's the first thing people need to realize: interest rate is a liar. Interest rate lies to you. So if we have a $200,000 mortgage at 6% interest, here's how much interest the bank wants on that. $231,676 over 30 years. $231,000 in just interest alone. Added to your original $200,000, that means that's a total repayment of $431,000. Good morning, Karan. How are you doing?
It is always a great day. How are you, Mr. Don Daniel? I'm getting on YouTube now.
Okay, because listen, you want to encourage everybody to do that because without seeing the numbers, it doesn't make sense. But when I show you the numbers, it'll make total sense. But it's good to see you this morning. And everybody else that's in the audience, you don't have to stay in the audience, Miss Sharon or William or Alex or Meek and Wanda. Listen, we got some other people in the room, Sadai and Shoni. Come on up. Make sure you join the club, all right, to get rid of those red tickets, okay? All right, so now you can watch us on YouTube. So here's the thing. They want 231,000. So I got to ask the question, does this look like 6%? Does this number, $231,000, look like 6% of 200,000? Well, it isn't. It's 100, watch this, total interest paid as a percentage of principal, 115.838% if we follow the bank's program. But we don't want to follow the bank's program. We want to follow the P.I.L.L method program. We want to follow interest cancellation so that we can borrow money at a discount with your current budget. Okay, so now let's take a look at, we have the 30-year mortgage here, and we're going to put on the 40-year mortgage. All right, so this is what the person was talking about. I get a lower payment. It is $1,100.43 as opposed to $1,199.10. All right. So the lower payment, but watch the interest. Watch the interest. Okay. If you don't know what you're doing, you could get yourself in trouble because the more interest you pay, the longer you stay in debt. So it was about the interest. So if we look at this, now they want $328,000 if you're in the loan for 40 years. But I'm here to tell you, both loans pay off in the same amount of time on the P.I.L.L method. In fact, this loan on the 40-year is slightly better. Can I show you some numbers here? And I hope this makes sense to you. I'm going to show you how prepayment actually saves you money and time. Now, anytime you want to jump in here and ask a question, don't wait for me to pause. Ask your question right away, okay? Because your questions drive the show. And if you're commenting online, make sure you do that as well. So if I make a payment here, let's say I make my first payment, $199.10 goes to principal, $1,000 goes to interest, and this number, principal payment, pays down the loan. So now I'm at $199,800.90. $1,000 goes to interest. Can you believe that? $1,000 goes to interest. So if I make this payment in January, my February principal payment would be $200.10. I'm not explaining the P.I.L.L method to you right now, folks. We're just going over mortgage mechanics and how.
Don,
Yes, Troy.
so that first interest payment, is that 80%?
That is a very good question. Let's figure that out. So I'm going to put on a calculator here. Okay. So I think what Troy is saying is that if my first interest payment is $1,000 and my regular payment is $1,199.10, I can divide the $1,000 by $1,199.10, which is my regular payment. And it comes out to 83%, Troy. 83% of my payment is interest. In other words, 83 pennies out of every dollar you put towards this mortgage goes to interest. And you're only paying your mortgage down with 17 cents out of every dollar you put towards the mortgage. Folks, is that where you want to live today? Is that how you want to spend your money? Thank you for bringing that up, Troy. I appreciate you. Okay. So if I have this, now here is the weakness in the whole system. So I said, no, doesn't want to do that. Okay, I got you. All right. So if you understand what we're talking about here, the $200, you could prepay that. This is February's principal payment, but you don't have to wait till February to give this money to the bank. If you did give it to them on top of your mortgage payment, they would have to subtract that amount right away. And you're down to line 2 in January, okay? In the same month you made the first mortgage payment, okay? So now, if I'm on line 2, my next payment for February, now you have a payment every single month, okay? My next payment would be here. This is what it would look like. $201.10 going to principal, $998. That is the same payment that is on line 3. So by giving the bank $200.10 early, payment number 1 now touches payment number 3. Payment number 2 is gone. And this $999 in interest, I never have to pay. That has been canceled. Okay? So it's about canceling interest with principal prepayments. So anytime you have a mortgage, folks, you want to keep this in mind. By controlling the principal payment, you control this loan. Control the principal payment and you control the loan. Now, why is that important? Because I have several examples here that I need you to see. And if you're not watching this, you are going to miss it. You need to see what is getting ready to happen here, because I have a 30-year mortgage here, okay? This one is a 40-year mortgage. So I'm going to put that on the screen. I need you to see the first interest payment on the 30-year mortgage is $1,000. The second payment is $999. On a 40-year mortgage, the first interest payment is $1,000, and the second one is $999.50. Look at that. Look at that. Okay? So we have here a 40-year mortgage, which is 480 payments. The payment is $1,100, okay, and 43 cents. But the first interest payment is exactly the same on both mortgages. Look at that. Okay. Now, this mortgage I'm putting on the screen, and I'll show you, is 240 payments. Okay. 240 payments. That is a 20-year mortgage. And the payment is $1,432.86. See, when you lower the amortization, okay, when you lower the term, you increase the payment. So now the payment is $1,432.86 on a 20-year loan. But I need you to take a look at the first 2 interest payments. Look here. Let me get rid of this ad because it's distracting. Look at this. $1,000 and $997. Almost the same. Right? In fact, on all of these examples, here is a 15-year mortgage, and I'll show you the numbers. It's 180 payments, okay? 15-year mortgage, 180 payments. Look at this. And the first payment here, again, the first interest payment is $1,000. $1,000. So, folks, tell me, after I show you this, why would anybody get anything less than a 30-year or a 40-year? Watch what we need to know about this, okay? All right. So let's take a look at the payment here. on the 30-year mortgage. Do you see the principal payment here? It's $199.10. I need you to pay close attention because we're going to be focusing on principal payments, because then you'll understand why I'm telling people that you can save your house with a 40-year amortization if you're in pre-foreclosure. Okay? So now the principal payment is $199.10 at 6%. But watch this. The next one is $200.10. That's the 30-year mortgage. If I prepay this, I don't have to pay that. Okay. I need you to take a look at a whole year of principal payments and a whole year of interest payments. So if you go to cumulative principal and cumulative interest, look at this. At month 12, $2,456 and a penny. That's how much principal you pay down in the first year on this mortgage if you do it the bank's way. You'll also give them $11,933.19 in interest if you do it their way. But I want you to concentrate on this right now, the 245601. And I need you to answer this question for me in the chat or come up, Mike. Karan, I see you up. Do you have a question?
No, I'm charging my phone, so I'm also listening to you, but I love it. You know I love it.
Okay.
You know I love it. It's like, why would we do that, right?
Right. Okay. So,
Cancel some interest.
exactly. So now look at this. Look at this, folks. Here's what I want to ask. I got $2,456 and a penny that I know I'm going to pay in the first year. So here's my question. Do I have to pay the $2,456 and a penny in 12 monthly installments, just like the bank wants me to, if I had it? If I had it, could I give it to the bank on line one, Karan?
Yes.
Would they have to subtract that from what I owe?
Yes, they do.
And I would be paid down to line 12 in 1 month, wouldn't I?
Eliminating so much interest.
Look at that. I've just taken 1 year off this loan instantly by giving the bank $2,456, all right, on top of my regular payment, all right? And I'm paid down to here in 1 month instead of 12. I skip the interest payments between line 2 and line 12. That's a total, when I add it all up, that is $10,944.42 worth of interest savings by giving that money to the bank early. Do you all see that today? Okay.
Yes.
Wow. I listen, I get excited every time I get to show this information. Okay. So now let me take this off the screen because I want everybody to be able to see the numbers. Okay. So let me do this. Let's take a look at the 40-year mortgage, okay? Right off the bat, the 40-year mortgage. Now, remember what I said. Control the principal payment and you control the loan. Interest payments you skip don't matter, okay? So watch this. Here is my first principal payment on the 30-year. Starts out at $200, but the first principal payment on the 40-year starts out at only $100. But the interest payments are about the same. So if I was just looking at that, I would say, why would I do that? Because out of my regular payment, only $100 of my money is going to principal, and my interest payments are about the same. So it's going to take me longer to get out of this mortgage. But that's if you make every payment. But what if you want to prepay? Watch this. $100.93 gets rid of $99.50 if you prepay it. Look at that. I need you to take a look at line 12 now. Cumulative principal, cumulative interest. Look at that. And if you add up all the principal payment, it comes to $1,238.86. What? You mean it just takes $1,200 prepaid to knock out 1 year on the 40-year mortgage? But it takes $24.5601 prepaid to knock out 1 year on the 30-year mortgage. I'm asking you folks, just knowing this much money, I'm sorry, just knowing this much information, which mortgage makes more sense if you're trying to get out of debt early, if you're trying to get out of debt cheaper?
The
40 year.
40 year.
The 40-year all day. The 40, yeah, go ahead, Troy.
I said 24/7, Don. Don, thank you for breaking this down. This really helps me. We need to talk sometime.
Listen, you got my number, right?
Yeah,
You need to call me. Let's talk.
I called you. Did you change your number? I called and text you.
No. Go to ceodon.com, ceodon.com,
Okay.
and you'll see a little, and you just scroll down until you see where there's a little phone, and then you can call me there. Okay. All right. So listen, folks, this thing is crucial when you can understand it. So here's a person who has two mortgage payments are behind, 2 mortgage payments behind, and they're now in the midst of going through getting this modification, which will bring them current instantly as soon as the paperwork is signed. It brings them current. It brings them current with a lower payment and the ability to prepay. Look at this, to prepay a certain amount of money and get rid of 1 year worth of interest, and that amount is lower. Look at that. I need you to see in the first 5 years, how much interest you need to pay on all of these mortgages before I show you the really good part. But I need you to see, we're going to go down to 60 payments on all of them. Okay, 60 payments. Look at here. 60 payments on the 30-year, 60 payments on the 40-year. We're going to go down to 5 years, 60 payments on the 20-year. Okay. And on the 15-year. I need you to look at the difference. Okay. It's not so much the interest, but what really is the difference is the principal payment. So let's take a look at this. This is the 30-year. Okay. How much money goes to principal in 60 months or 5 years? In the first 5 years, if we do it the bank's way, $13,891.20, but the interest is 58 grand. Do you see that, everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Now here's what I need to ask you. Do you want to stop doing it the bank's way, where it'll cost you $58,000 for $13,800 worth of equity? Okay. First of all, let's get that on the table. Let's stop doing it their way. Okay. So now let's take a look at the 40-year mortgage. Interest is $59,800, almost the same. $59,000 versus $58,054. Okay. Let's go back. $59,000, but how much principal is here? $7,000. Are you saying, Don, if I prepay $7,000, I can knock off 5 years on the 40-year mortgage? And on the 30, it takes $13,000? Yeah. On the 20-year mortgage, it takes $30,000 prepaid to knock out the 50 grand.
Is the 7,000 a 40-year mortgage?
The 7,000 is the 40-year mortgage.
What?
Yes. Isn't that crazy?
I need a 40-year mortgage.
Listen, have we all been told the wrong stuff forever?
Oh, we know that they're not telling us the truth.
Come on now. Look at that. Okay, 7,000. Now, I'm going to go to the 20-year mortgage because, listen, and especially Dave Ramsey says, if you can't afford a 15-year mortgage, you can't afford this house. That's what he says. Yep. He says, if you can't, he says, You need to get, if you're following Dave Ramsey, you need to get a 15-year mortgage. I'm saying never, ever, 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 ever get a 15-year mortgage. You are hurting yourself. I need you to take a look at it. Here's a 15-year in 60 months. Here's the interest, $53,000. It's still 50 grand. But look at this, $47,000. So how much do I have to prepay to get rid of 5 years on a 15-year mortgage? I got to come up with 47 grand to get rid of 5 years and 50 grand worth of interest. But on the 40-year mortgage, look at this. All I needed to do is come up with 7,000 to get rid of 50 grand. Why would I ever get a 15-year mortgage, Karan?
I would never. Can you go down to the 40 years though? I want to see how much like we are actually.
You want to see the whole
I want to see the whole.
Okay, so you tell me this. So here is the 40-year mortgage. Here's how much interest they want. Okay, is this what you're looking for? It is $328,000 in total interest paid. That's what they're looking for.
Okay.
It's 164% of what you're borrowing. Okay, 328,000 is 164% of the $200,000 you're borrowing. But we can pay a lot less interest through prepayment, and it looks like it's easier to prepay the 40-year mortgage than any other mortgage I have on the screen right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So in other words, if I can come up with $100, I can kill almost $1,000 worth of interest, Karan.
So can I see the 30-year mortgage? How much interest are we repaying with the 30-year?
Here it is. You listen, you ask and you shall receive. The 30-year is $231,676, but that's doing it the bank's way.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah. Right. So on a 30-year, this is what we're taught to look at, though. We're taught to look at, well, total interest on a 30-year is this, but if you get the 40-year, total interest is this.
Yeah.
Which scares people. Okay?
Yeah.
You mean I'm going to be in debt for 40 years and I got to give you a lot more money? No.
Only when they don't know how to take the pill.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. All right. So let me check and see if I've got any other questions in here. All right. I don't see anything here. All right. There we go. And there it is. Okay. So now we have these two ideas that are conflicting. And where do they conflict? They conflict in our minds because we've been told one thing for so long, but I'm showing you the numbers here. I'm showing you the numbers. And even when I show the numbers, it conflicts with what we've been told. So I need you to focus where we need to focus. Focus on the principal payment because that's how you attack a loan in the first place, ladies and gentlemen. It's the principal you prepay that handles the debt. So if I go to a 15-year mortgage, I need you to see this. On the 15-year mortgage, how much do I have to prepay to get rid of just one line? $691.15 to get rid of the $900 worth of interest. Dave, what are you telling the people? Come on, Dave. Dave's office is only an hour and a half from me. I'm in Huntsville. He's in Nashville. We haven't talked. All right. But listen, I would love to come on your show, Dave. All right. I'm putting it out there because he has people who, scour the internet for information. So I'm putting it out there, Dave. I would love to come on your show so we can talk to, or you can come on my show and we can talk to people about how they can best pay off their debt. Okay. Sharon Brooks says, let me see what you're saying, Sharon. Says don't. It depends on what loans like a VA should be accountable. No, there are certain rules with the VA loan, all right, but the amortization, the formula works the same on all the loans, if that's what you're asking, Sharon. Okay. And if I don't have it right, just raise your hand and come to the stage. And I know some of you may be at work and can't talk. I understand that as well too. But if you can, come to the stage if I'm not understanding your question right, Sharon. But yeah, if it's a VA loan, you can do it the same way. You can do it the exact same way. Here's what I need you to tell. I need to tell everybody: get the longest term you can and get the right interest rate for you. Never buy down the rate. Okay. So if somebody gives me an opportunity that says, Don, here is, we have this rate, or we have a new lower rate that you could purchase, I'll never purchase the lower rate because it doesn't work in your favor. When you lower the rate, you increase the principal payment. And this is not what we want. So $691 on the 15-year loan. Let me take you back to the 40-year loan. The 40-year mortgage says only $100.93 I can prepay to get rid of the same $900 in interest. Oh, by the way, somebody might say, well, what if I don't have, invite Sharon up. All right. What if I don't have $100? $50 here gets rid of $500 worth of interest. $25 prepaid gets rid of $250 worth of interest. Miss Sharon, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great now that I'm in your room.
Come on now. Talk to me. Talk to me. What's your question or comment today?
Okay, like with the and I was told like with the different loans that the rate it fluctuates, and I've always thought the VA because you could get it zero down payment and they will. But see, this is where you're like disputing against my thoughts about that because I'm like, yeah, hey, if you don't have a VA loan, partner with somebody or can't get a VA loan, partner with someone that's a veteran and talking with the ones that's on this app and I was thinking because like I am going to acquire a piece of property and that VA was where I was going with it, but I just I just kind of had those questions in my mind, and I seen you in the other room. I was like, listen, wherever he goes, I'm going because I do believe in the P.I.L.L method. You're like the when they say take the red or the blue,
Yeah.
you're like the brown or green whatever color that they haven't discovered yet. You're the thing for yourself kind of P.I.L.L method. And I promise you, like I said, when I get around a group of people and they start talking, I say like, listen, you gotta listen to Don. You gotta come in and you gotta find him. And they're like, okay, where is he at? And I'm like, not savvy with the computer. And I'm like, go on YouTube and find the P.I.L.L method.
Yes.
And I promise you, whatever you think about or you rethink mortgage buying or spending all together. It's really it. I mean, like I said, I was just thinking about the VA, and I'm like, okay, they good, they solid. Veterans are this and that, and which is good and it's helping. But this kind of like wow, debunk against what I've been thinking. That part.
Well, let me tell you something. Now, the VA mortgage is a great mortgage, number one. Okay, and people who you're right. People who have that ability to get that VA loan, all right. Interest rate is not all that important. I'm sorry. Their they can get 100%. They can borrow at 100%. They don't necessarily have to have a down payment. That's great. Okay. Their credit score is not all that important. They can still get a VA loan. Right. And they can build even a 4-unit ground up, no money down, live in one unit and rent out the other 3. So there's some definite benefits here on the VA loan, and you can use what I'm talking about as far as prepayment even on a VA loan. Here's what I don't know. If you can modify a VA loan, and I need somebody to help me with that. If somebody knows about if you can modify a VA loan, if perchance you get behind, okay? So if somebody can let me know that, I would appreciate it. And I can do some additional research. I'll tell you when I don't know. So I'm gonna put it in my notes, okay? All right, can you modify a VA loan? All right, VA, great. All right, so I'll look that up, and maybe next week I can have an answer for you, okay? So Sharon, thank you very much for your comment today. All right, but I just need everybody to know you can prepay a VA loan, and if you need to cash out refi, you can cash out at 100% on a VA loan, not just 80% like a conventional, all right, or an FHA, okay? But you can cash out at 100% on a VA loan. It is a great loan. Now, folks, I need to show you this. I wanted to show you why. Yes.
I Google, it says a VA loan can be modified through the VA's loss mitigation program.
Okay. So it can be modified. Look at that. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. So there may be some hope if you are behind on your mortgage payments and they're sending you letters about, listen, we need to get this caught up, or we're going to have to foreclose. This is one way to stop a foreclosure. It's not the only way, but it's one way to stop a foreclosure is to get your loan modified. And if they offer you a 40-year loan, if that is an option, take it hands down. Now, everything that I'm talking about, please, I'm giving you just the basics. If you want to know how to implement this and to get the most out of it, you want to use our P.I.L.L method program and our AI calculator called the opportunity cost calculator. AI can tell you exactly how much money to move, what month to move it in, what day of the month to move it on, and which loan to attack so that you can pay the least amount of interest that's mathematically possible for you. Now, can anybody save interest? Anybody can save interest. But what you want to do is save the most interest per dollar. Make your dollar work harder for you. And with our program, you will pay the least amount of interest mathematically possible, guaranteed. I guarantee it. Okay? So let's take a look at, now that we've got this part out of the way, people may need to see what our program would do with a 40-year mortgage. And before I go there, we're going to do a little commercial break. Okay, we're going to do a little commercial break. Not only that, but if you have a question, put your question in now before I go to the next section, because I'm going to bring up our AI system, our opportunity cost calculator, and we're going to put in the 30-year mortgage, and then we're going to put in a 40-year mortgage and see if there is a difference. Okay? All right. So, any questions before we go? All right. Raise your hand, come to the stage. All right. I'm looking online. I'm not seeing any questions. So we're getting ready. I'm going to get a drink of water. We're going to go and I'm going to put on a quick little commercial here, and then I'll be right back. How many want to know how to pay off all of your debt in an average of 7 to 9 years? You can do all of this without refinancing, without change to your budget, without sacrificing lifestyle.
Me and my husband do the P.I.L.L method, and last year we were able to pay down $33,000 on our mortgage without feeling like we were poor. We still did tons of entertaining things and enjoyed our family.
You don't have to eat beans and rice every day. You don't have to cut up your credit cards. You don't have to drive a 30-year-old car. You don't have to sell pizzas at night to pay off your mortgage. All you need to do is pay the bank less interest. That's what we're talking about today. Here is what P.I.L.L method stands for: prepayment of principal, isolation of principal amounts, leverage, and liquidity. You understand it? You have a way of getting out of debt more efficiently. The interest rate you're quoted is not the interest rate you pay. You think you're buying a $500,000 home. The true cost of that home is what? $758,000. Total interest paid as a percentage of principal, 51.777%. That's what's going on with this loan. The ability to read and defeat an amortization schedule is not taught at any level of financial education. I need you to understand the power of a penny. You will not hear what I'm talking about from Dave Ramsey. Do you know why? Because I own the copyright. I literally wrote the book.
But Don has some valuable information that can contribute to the quality of a person's life. And it only costs you a few dollars. It's his book. Why not get that?
I'm going to go through the P.I.L.L method myself with some of my investment properties. So I'm going to link up with Don, and then I'm going to sit down with him, show him my investment portfolio, and see how I can eliminate interest.
All right, folks, we are back, and I have the opportunity cost calculator on the screen right now. So if you're listening to us, you definitely want to see this example when we are looking at a 30-year mortgage, all right, versus a 40-year mortgage. Now, here is the rest of the story. When I was telling this young lady that the 40-year option is probably a good idea, she says, Don, I already have 17 years into the mortgage. Why would I ever go to a 40-year mortgage? And I understand the question, and I'm sure you do too. Okay, why would I extend my time when I've already been in 17 years? You see, if she knew about working the P.I.L.L method, she could have been out of debt in 7. So what you need to understand here, folks, is when you're looking at modifying your loan or changing your loan or whatever it is, don't look at the number of years. The number of years affects your principal payment, and that's what we want to do. We want to affect the principal payment. But in terms of paying off the loan, the amount that you owe doesn't change. So if the amount that you owe doesn't change, you can pay off the amount that you owe. That's what we look at in terms of coming up with the payoff date. The payoff date is what's important. How many years it takes to pay it off with your current budget. That is what is important. So if we're looking at you owe a certain amount of money and you said, I go from 17 years left on this mortgage and I go to 40 years left on the mortgage now, the amount of money that you have there that you owe can still be paid off in 5 or 6 years. Okay. We don't look at that. What we look at is how much do you owe? How much money are we working with? How can you prepay it? How can you set yourself up so that prepayment actually works for you? And then let's go to work. So let's take a look at this. All right. This is John and Rebecca Jones. All right. And let's take a look at their accounts. So we go into the accounts. John and Rebecca Jones have 500. Oh, don't forget. I forgot to mention, if you want to get a savings and earnings report, which is free, you can go to ceodon.com. ceodon.com. Find that button that says get a savings and earnings report, and you can know the month, day, and year you could be debt free on your loan, whether it's modified or not. Okay, so don't forget that. ceodon.com, and don't forget to subscribe. All right, so here we go. Let's see here. John and Rebecca Jones have $500 in their checking account. They have $5,000 in their savings account. Okay. Now, here's what they have as far as loans are concerned. They have an auto loan that's $25,000 left on it. They owe $2,000 on a Visa, and they have a $200,000 mortgage at 6%. This is the 1199-10 that we were talking about. Okay. So if we take a look at this, we can see that they're supposed to save $178,000 in interest that they'll never pay, and they can pay this loan off in 7.8 years. Now, I need you. Now, I'm going to take some notes here too, so you can take some notes with me. All right. So that's what we want to write down. They're going to save $178,000. Okay. $178,000. They're going to pay off in 7.8 years if they follow our program. All right. And their first principal payment, the amount of money that goes to principal, will be on 8/16. All right. We're starting out in July on our program here today. So on 8/16, the program is predicting that they'll have in their savings account an extra $2,569 that they can put towards the debt. Okay. So let's take a look at that. Now, the other thing we want to take a look at is this. I'm going to change this just a little bit here and look at the interest remaining. Okay. Our program doesn't just tell you how much interest you can save. The opportunity cost calculator also tells you how much interest you have left to pay. And what's interesting here is the bank wanted the $178,000 plus the $58,000. But John and Rebecca Jones are only going to pay the $58,000 and not pay the $178,000. So here's a question for you. If they can buy the same property for $178,000 less, what could they do with an extra $178,000? Think about it. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right. So here's what we're looking at. I also need you to take a look at their budget. Okay. Here's their budget. They're not rich. John gets paid bi-weekly $950. Rebecca gets paid weekly $700. Their monthly income is only about $5,091.66. Their monthly expenses average is not the same every single month because, you know, the electricity changes, how much they're spending for their cooking gas, or heating their home, or cooling their home. That all changes every single month. All right. And so their average discretionary, what's left over after all the bills are paid, is $1,300. This is the money that goes into the bank, goes into their savings account. Once that money hits the savings account, it just stays there. And then the program says, oh, once it reaches a certain amount, then the program says, what is the least amount of money that they have in savings that we can take out of savings and apply it to the debt and kill the maximum amount of interest? Okay, that's how it works. So let's take a look at how this is the action plan. So the action plan comes up. They start in July. And the first thing, John gets paid on July 1st. So he clicks the button here. It says, okay, I got paid $950. That went into his bank account. So he has to tell the program he got paid $950. Okay. So when he tells the program he got paid $950, it just disappears from the screen. But when you take a look at their checking account, you see that they have $950 in their virtual checking account, and it matches exactly what they have at the bank. The program needs to know how much money you're working with. Okay. Because I hope that makes sense, everybody. All right. So now they pay their bills. They're going to tell the program, I paid my mortgage. They're going to click on that. They paid their utilities. They're going to click on that. Okay. Then Rebecca gets a paycheck of $700. They're going to click on that. But look at this little arrow here. This arrow says we're going to take a look. We've done all of the math for the month. And it says, at this point, you have $100.90 in your checking account you don't need for anything else. So the program says, let's put that into your savings account at your bank. $100.90, not $100.91 or 95 cents or $101 or $105. You want to put in $100.90, just what the program is telling you to do. All right. Don't put any more or any less, because the program has already done the math. You don't need this money for any other thing this month. Okay. So now let's take a look at the 12th, where it says, oh, we got another paycheck. We can afford to put $590.49 in the savings account. So we're saving up money. We're saving up money and we're paying our bills. We're going to pay $400 for food this month. We're going to put $50 on the Visa. And right now, there are no arrows that say put anything extra on the debt. So we just pay minimum payments. What, Don? Even on the credit card? Yes, just minimum payments, even on the credit card, because you want to save up the maximum amount of money that you can. And the program is going to tell you when to put it on the debt to save interest. So let's take a look at what happens when we do this, and we're going to write it down. So we scroll down. Oh, and it says here we're going to put $350 in savings, pay some bills, put another $700 in savings, and out of the savings account, not out of your regular budget, out of money that you've already saved, the program says we're going to take $2,569 out of the savings account and apply it to the mortgage on the 16th of August. On the 1st of August, they paid their regular mortgage payment of $1,199.10. Then the program says wait till the 16th and put an extra $2,569 on the mortgage. And let's see what happens when we do that. The program just calculated by putting $2,569 on the mortgage. It's going to save them. Let me make this a little bigger in case you can't see it. $12,316 in interest they will not have to pay. In other words, if they were to pay the bank exactly the way the bank wants to be paid, to pay their mortgage down by $2,569, they would also have to give the bank $12,316 in interest to do it. But by giving them that money early, by paying that amount of money, when the bank's not expecting it, it makes it impossible for the bank to charge them $12,316. You see, folks, when you pay every single month on time, it costs you interest to do that. When you pay when it's expected, it costs you money to do that. When you pay when it's not expected, you made your regular mortgage payment, and before the next mortgage payment is due, which is on the 1st of next month, you can put any amount of money that you choose to put on the debt and you cancel interest. Our program just goes one step farther and says you can afford to put this much on and kill $12,316 worth of interest. And you don't want to pay any more than the $2,569. At this point, John and Rebecca Jones have over $7,000 in savings, but the program says just take $2,569 and put it on the debt. Okay? So to put any more on, they would start losing how much interest they could save per dollar. Okay? How much interest you save per dollar matters. All right? If you get with me, we can go into this in detail on what we call our challenge. We have coming up a 5-day challenge where you can spend 5 days with me online. We're going to have a whole group of people together, and we're going to take you through and go into this thing deeply over 5 days so you can understand what's going on. All right. I'll be able to go into that deeper in our 5-day challenge. We're going to be talking about that coming soon. All right. So now let's take a look at what happens when you prepay this. Okay. So if we prepay that, then the program will then post how much interest we just saved. So we're going to execute that. And here it is, $12,311. There it is. Okay. When this actual number reaches this potential interest savings, they're out of debt, and it'll be 7.8 years, and they're going to pay $58,217. Now, let's do this. I'm going to reset this account. Okay. We're going to reset it. All right. Uh-oh. It changed on me. We've got to reset, and we're using this one. Yeah, there we go. And let's see here. I got to do a quick change here. And preferences. And we're focusing on the mortgage right now. So I'm going to tell the program to focus on the mortgage for this example. There we go. All right. Now, so now we're focusing on the mortgage. We go back to the action plan. All right. Okay, so we have 58,000. Okay. All right. And here's we're going to take a look at the accounts. Okay. Let me see here. This is a different one. Oh, we don't want this one. We want the one we had before. Let's see, preferences. We're going to reset. Okay. And I think it's this one we want. Reset. Nope, that's not the one we want either. Let's see here. Budget. Mortgage. I'm sorry, folks. I messed up by hitting the wrong button. Let's take a look. Maybe it's this one. Yeah, this is the one. Sorry about that. All right, we got different scenarios. Yeah, 5,500. We had the auto loan, the Visa. Yeah, this is the one. All right, so now we're going to hit this. Preferences. Change it here so we can look at the mortgage. There it is. Okay. Now, so this is the one we had before. Okay. 58,217 in interest remaining, 7.8 years, $178,000.02, and showed how much interest we're going to be able to save. I'm going to go into the accounts. We're going to take a look at our 30-year mortgage. We're going to click on edit. And we're going to change it to a 40-year mortgage. Now, I need you to remember this. Now, we had 58,000. Now, this is the number to watch. $58,217. That's how much interest they're going to pay on their 30-year mortgage. All right? Using our program and pay off in 7.8 years. We're going to take this mortgage and we're going to change it to a 40-year mortgage in the same program. So we're changing this to 480 payments. We're going to take this payment out, delete that, and we're going to put in the 40-year mortgage payment, which is $1,100.43. $1,100 and 43 cents. Okay, that's exactly right. And we're going to save it. I need you to see what happens next. Okay, so on our notes, we had $58,000. Let's see, 58,000. What was the original? Okay, a little over 58,000. But we actually have less interest here, 58,207. The payoff date is still 7.8 years. Now the interest savings increased from 178,000 to 274,000. This isn't a good metric, because the longer you're supposed to be in debt, that's more money that the bank is looking for, but that has nothing to do with how much interest John and Rebecca are going to be paying. I need you to take a look at this number, which is a better metric. They're going to be paying about the same amount of interest. It just changes by a couple of dollars. It's a few dollars less, but the payoff time is exactly the same, 7.8 years. You see that? So let's go back to the action plan. Okay. And we're going to take a look at John gets paid. All right. We're going to execute that. Show that John gets paid. There we are. And then that gets added to it. I'm not going to click on each one of these individually. They pay the mortgage, which is $1,100.43, their utilities. And remember, they were supposed to put some money into savings. Now it's $199.57. They're going to be putting a little bit more here, $689.16, because of their lower mortgage payment. Look at this. Their discretionary, all right, goes up to $1,430, not $1,300, but now $1,430, because their mortgage payment is less, so they have more money left over. Okay, so now the program has more money to put into savings. So when we scroll down, we're putting money in savings, paying bills, putting money in savings, and on the same month, look here. Now we're going to apply this amount of money to the mortgage, take money from savings and put it on the mortgage, $2,865.02, which is more money now. And look at the interest savings now, $26,000. Why? Because the principal payments start out at around $100. So when you take the principal payments that start out around $100 and divide that into $2,800, it goes into $2,800 more times. Therefore, you eliminate more interest lines on the mortgage, and you can literally pay off a 40-year mortgage in about the same amount of time, or even less time, than a 30-year, and pay less interest. Look at that. Folks, that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. If you're in a situation where you need to stop you're in pre-foreclosure, communicate with the bank. Find out what your options are. If you call the P.I.L.L method, okay, go to ceodon.com, call the P.I.L.L method, and I will walk you through the steps that I did not have time to go through on this show. We've been on an hour and 13 minutes so far, and there is so much more that I need to teach that I can get in an hour and 13 minutes. But I need you to see this. If we tell the program, this is how much I want to put on my mortgage, I want you to see what happens. We're going to execute this. How would you like to know that money you saved up in your bank, not taken out of your regular budget, and your regular budget includes, I want to make this abundantly clear, your regular budget includes how much money you want to spend on your family to have fun and to make memories. Now, there's somebody that lives in Tennessee that says you need to take all your extra money and throw it at the debt. You can start living once you're debt free. In 7.8 years, your kids are grown. Okay? And all they heard about money is we can't do this, we can't do that, because we have to pay off this debt. That's money trauma. Okay. That's setting your kids up psychologically to fail. If all they hear is, we got to eat beans and rice, we can't go anywhere, we can't do anything, we got to drive a 30-year-old car, we got to cut up our credit cards, we can't do this because we have to take all of the money and throw it towards the debt, and we can't optimize interest savings because we have all these cash accounts sitting around. We got a cash account sitting around if the dishwasher breaks down or if the car breaks down. They call them sinking funds. Okay. I'm going to have thousands of dollars sitting in the bank for an emergency fund. I'm going to have thousands of dollars sitting in the bank for what we call sinking funds. All right. And it's sitting in a bank that's making you, even if you have it in a savings account, it's going to make you 0.1%. But you have thousands of dollars sitting in the bank telling your kids you can't do anything because you got to get out of debt and you got to keep all this cash on hand just in case something happens. So you can't use a credit card for emergencies. Please, let me tell you something. If I have an emergency that's $2,000, okay? If I have an emergency that's $2,000 and I have a choice between taking my cash and paying my emergency with my cash to avoid using my credit card, I would much rather take that $2,000 and put it on the mortgage and save $26,000 in interest. And why would I do that? Because here's why. Let me show Dave something here. We're going to put on here let's just call it $5,000. Okay. $5,000 credit card at 27%. Look at this. That just brings fear to the heart of man. Okay. All credit cards are amortized over 240 months. Look at that. Okay. If I have $5,000 in the bank and I have a $5,000 emergency, Dave says use the cash to pay for your emergency. Don says if I got $5,000 in the bank, I'm using my credit card for the emergency because I can pay the credit card off anytime I want. There you have it. So how much interest? Here's your interest only payment on a $5,000 card, even at 27%. Okay. $1,200. I'm sorry, $112.50. $112.50. So if you pay off that credit card today, you save $112.50. But if I have on my mortgage, let's put that $200,000 mortgage back in, Dave. Okay. We've got our $200,000 mortgage at 6%, 360 months. Our payment comes up to $1,199.10. You tell me, do I want to take $5,000, keep it in the bank, and pay my emergency with my $5,000, or do I want to use my credit card to pay my $5,000 and possibly get rewards, possibly get points, possibly get airline miles, whatever you want to do with that? Okay, I've got that much money sitting around. But if I pay off the card, I'm only looking at $112.50, Dave, even if it's 27%. Why would we tell people not to use their card if it's only going to cost them $112.50 worth of interest that month? Well, it's not even in that month because it's not till next month. Because if you pay it off in the first month, you don't owe any interest. But if you wait a month, it's going to cost you $112.50. Or I can take that $5,000 I have in cash, put it on this mortgage, knock off 24 months off my mortgage. That's 2 years off my mortgage, and it saves me $23,714.90. Dave, stop telling the people that. Please. help them to use their money more efficiently. Because if I pay off the $5,000 card, I'm going to save $112. So here's my question to you folks before I get out of here today. With all of this, do I want to pay Visa $112 so I can use their money and put it on my mortgage so I can save 2 years off my mortgage and save $23,000 in interest on my mortgage? Or, yeah, Don, you got to pay cash or you're going to end up paying the Visa $112. When you hear it like this, folks, doesn't it just make sense to understand how all of this works? This is why I need your help today. I need your help. We need more views on this information. You need to be telling everybody about the P.I.L.L method. Go to the P.I.L.L method Facebook page, go to the P.I.L.L method YouTube channel, and follow us on all of our social media. You can find all of our social media at ceodon.com. It's crawling across the screen, ceodon.com. Okay. You follow us on our social media. You get all this information for free. And you can see how we can stop a foreclosure with a modification. And if we go to 40 years, it puts us in a better position, but don't lower the interest rate. Don't lower the interest rate. So Don, why don't we want to lower the interest rate? This is my last example. My last example. We're bringing it over. Okay. I have a 40-year mortgage. Now I just modified this, okay, to 480 months. Here's my $1,100 payment. Here is my first principal payment. Remember, control the principal payment and control the loan. Interest payments I skip don't matter. I can prepay $100.93 and knock off $999 worth of interest. That's cool to me. But if I do this in conjunction with, so we're going to duplicate this tab and we're going to lower the interest rate, because sometimes they give you, introductory rate with these things. So now my interest rate is 4% instead of 6%. All right. I may be thinking, because I have been told the lower the interest rate, the better off you are. Well, folks, if we just stop to think, if the bank is offering a lower rate, why would they do that to hurt their bottom line? Well, they wouldn't. They lower it for a reason. Watch this. So here's our payment. Get that out of the way. Here's our payment. It's now $835.88 instead of $1,100. So this is how it's sold. Folks, we can get you into the 40-year mortgage. That's going to lower your payment. We can lower your payment even more. We're going to give you the 4% loan, and we're going to take you from $1,199.10 down to $1,100 if we keep the interest rate the same. If we lower the interest rate, we're now going to get you at $835.88, and people will jump on this with both feet. Let me show you the principal payment now. Instead of $100, it's $169. I now have to come up with $169 to prepay to get rid of one line of mortgage interest. On my 40-year loan at 6% interest, it takes $1,200 to get rid of 1 year. Okay, $1,200 prepaid knocks out 1 year and saves me all this interest. Or I can get the 40-year loan at 4%, and now it costs $2,000 prepaid to knock out 1 year. Lower the interest rate, lower the term, you hurt yourself when it comes to prepaying and saving interest and getting out of debt early. Folks, I hope this made sense to you today. I hope you had a good time with me today. All right, because we're coming up on 1 hour and 24 minutes. All right, I have one last thing to share with you today, and then we're going to get out of here. But I want you to see this before we go, because we have some famous people that are on the program, and I want to share one with you right now. It just takes a few seconds, okay? So I need you to listen to Eric Thomas talk about the P.I.L.L method. Dr. Eric Thomas, E.T. the hip hop preacher, the #1 motivational speaker in the world, talking about the P.I.L.L method, and we'll be right back to wrap things up.
Listen to me, y'all. But one of his mentees took us through one of their programs, and I paid off my mortgage. But guess what happened? My marriage went to a whole nother level. And you know why? Because my wife is a security freak. And even when I blew up, my wife would be like, oh, you blew up, but how long is you gonna keep making this kind of money? I was like, I don't know, forever. She's like, you sure? Because I'm gonna keep my license as a nurse just in case you don't. So when I paid the house off, my boy was like, you ain't gotta do that, you can do this. But when I paid the house off using that program, it took the stress level all the way down for my wife because we no longer had a mortgage. Does that make sense? That thing that was coming every month, that was getting on her nerves, we didn't have that no more. And so she was at rest.
All right, folks, we're back. All right, so here's what we're doing. Thank you for being here today with me. All right, this is the first time we've done this type of show where we're saying how to save a house, how to get out of pre-foreclosure, how to bring your house current immediately. All right, by getting a modification. Keep this in mind. Once your modification is set in place, you have to do 3 months, okay? 3 months of trial payments at that new lower payment. And once you complete 3 months in a row without missing, without being late, then your modification is solid, okay? From that point on, it's written in stone right there, okay? So just keep that in mind. Don't forget about the 3 trial payments. All right, before we get out of here, I'll give you an opportunity to ask some questions, and then we're going to be out of here until next week when we're going to bring you a brand new subject. Okay, any questions before we go? I'm looking online, I'm not seeing any. I'm looking here on Clubhouse, I'm not seeing any. Anybody on the stage have a question? Okay. All right. Sharon Brooks says, wow, that's awesome. Facts. Thank you, Sharon. I appreciate you. All right. Anybody else got any other questions or comments before we get out of here? Elizabeth, thank you so much for coming to the stage. Sharon, thank you so much. I see I am Meek, Alex, Marquise, William wants to come to the stage right quick. All right.
I have a quick question.
All right. Go ahead with your question.
Have you encountered anybody that applies this to large commercial loans like multifamily?
Yes. Yes. In fact, I've used that example several times. I have one, but we're just about out of time. But yes, it does work, and we can save people who have commercial property millions of dollars in interest. But Elizabeth, guess what?
What?
Most people who are in commercial property aren't trying to pay off the debt. What they're trying to do is get more equity faster and cheaper. Okay, we got one client that has about $2 million worth of debt. And because of the discretionary that we can use, can literally pay that loan off in under 5 years. But he says, no, I don't want to pay it off. So if he can pay off that much debt in 5 years, how fast can he accumulate equity, cash out refi, and use that money to buy more property? You see? So he gets his equity at a lot lower interest cost, and then he can cash out refi. So even though they could pay it off and save significant amount of interest by paying it off, chooses not to. Says, I'll never be out of debt. I just want to get my equity cheaper. You see, up till now, a lot of people who are in real estate or who are in commercial property, they look at this one way and one way only. My tenants are paying the bill. But when they look at my tenants are paying the bill and I can save significant amounts of interest, 75, 80% of the interest I was supposed to pay, and cash out 10 to 15 years, sometimes even 20 years sooner than normal. Oh my goodness. So does that make sense to you, Miss Elizabeth?
Yes, but I look forward to talking about this further at a later date.
All right. So go to ceodon.com, look up all my information and save it to your phone. And you can give us a call. I'll be glad to talk to you about it anytime. William, you came to the stage.
Yes, I did.
Yes,
I have
sir.
a couple of things. One, I have a revelation, and then I have a couple of questions. My revelation is, henceforth, Don Daniels shall come to be known as the mortgage whisperer.
Oh my gosh. All right. I hear you. I hear you. Okay.
Right. And then the other thing is with the prepayment.
Yes.
I know you have it down to a science, but if someone just arbitrarily pays whatever they have, is there a specific day generally prior to the due date, as is with the credit cards? If you pay it, they say generally before the reporting date. Is there a general date prior to your payment required date that you could pay? And if you just pay, do you recommend, if you don't have a formal system, just paying whatever extra you have to pay with your income or your cash flow?
William, excellent question today. So if you don't have the opportunity cost calculator, here's what the opportunity cost calculator is doing because of all the variables involved. And one of the things you talked about is I have a certain amount of money, all right, and I can pay it on a certain date. I just don't know which one. I have 30 days to choose from. And the reason why, especially when you talk about credit cards, all right, the longer I wait, the more interest I have to pay because they charge daily interest. But the longer I wait, I actually will make more money. So how long, what is the right timing between the rising interest cost and the fact that in 2 weeks, I'll have even more money to put on the debt? You see, now we have more variables involved. All right. So if you want to save some interest, just pick a date. Okay. Just pick a date. Because if you're not measuring, you don't know what date is going to save you the most interest per dollar. If you have our program, it'll tell you exactly how much to pay and when to pay. And we'll take into account, William, how much you paid for gasoline last month and how much you paid for electricity, because that's going to determine how much money we have available. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes.
Okay. So if you don't have our system, then prepaying is going to save you money. But try your best to get as much information as you can, even from our free resources, to make sure you're focusing on not just saving interest or throwing money at the debt. Make sure you're focusing on the interest cost on the loans, not just the interest rate, because you could have a high interest rate on a particular loan, but have a low interest cost on it. So if you can use, $500 on a low interest cost loan to save you $80 in interest, but $500 on a high interest cost loan that has a low interest rate could save, that could save you $2,000 in interest on that loan. That makes a difference. So be as careful as you can. But if you want to know the month, day, and year, you could be debt free. You can we'll give you a savings report for free. Just go to ceodon.com, click on the link that says get a savings and earnings report, and you can get one for free. And it'll tell you the month, day, and year you'll be debt free. And not only that, we will give you some guidance. It will give you a number right there of, if you're not using that money to pay interest, what is your potential earnings with that money at 1% interest. You will be amazed at how much money your money can make for you if you're not giving it to the bank. Any other questions,
Right.
William?
Well, only one. My son and daughter-in-law had a couple of $1,000 reduction in their actual mortgage payments. And what they're doing is they're paying the original amount with the additional couple of $1,000 per month extra, and they are paying bi-weekly.
Yep.
So how does that add up on what they're doing?
All right, good. Another good question. Number one, you can't optimize what you can't measure. Okay, you follow that?
Yes.
You can't optimize what you can't measure. So when you are putting money, extra money on the debt, how much interest am I saving per dollar? If you can't answer that, you're still flying blind. Are you saving interest? You most certainly are. Are you paying off sooner? You most certainly are. But what if you're putting too much money on the debt at the wrong time? That is a possibility as well. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a client that is right now, with all the extra money that they're making now, they can pay off their the final $263,000 on their mortgage in 3.5 years. I told them that they're paying the house off too fast and they're not paying enough interest. They just wanted to know what I meant by that. I said, well, it'd be better if I tell you this. Go into the program and reduce your income in the program by $2,000 a month. The program recalculated, and now he's going to be out of debt in 3.5 years. I'm sorry, 6.5 years. It's going to take him longer. And the amount of interest he's going to pay is $20,000 in interest, where in his current situation, he's only going to pay $16,000 in interest. So he says, well, Don, why wouldn't I just go ahead and get out of debt in 3.5 years and only pay $16,000 in interest, as opposed to getting out of debt in 6.5 years and paying $20,000 in interest? I said, well, what would you have to do? He says, I would have to tell the program I'm making that $2,000 more a month for 3.5 years. I said, okay, let's add it up. 3 years, that's 36 months. Another half year, that's 6 months. That's 42 months. 42 months times $2,000 a month extra that you're putting on this loan is $84,000 to take you from paying $20,000 in interest down to $16,000 in interest. So William, if he's only saving $4,000 in interest, does he want to pay 84 grand to do that?
Right. I don't think so. Right.
Yeah, because that money could probably make him way more money, right, than the $4,000 in interest is going to save him. So we can't just look at saving interest. We have to do what's called critical point analysis. What is the point at which more money is too much? And we lose opportunity doing an opportunity cost calculation. We lose the opportunity to take the extra money that's not saving us any more interest to put that towards some sort of investment that's going to make us money. So you want to save money on one hand, with the right amount of money put towards debt elimination, and take any extra money that you still have and put it towards wealth creation at the same time. So you can't optimize what you can't measure. And these programs that are out here, no matter what you're doing, even the biweekly payment, you're not measuring. Now, let me talk about the biweekly payment since you brought it up. Okay. When you're paying biweekly, the first on the 1st and the 15th, you're not saving anything in interest at all when you pay on the 1st and the 15th like that, because banks only accept full payments. So how does a biweekly payment work? Every 6 months, there's an extra week. So when you're paying biweekly, you pay once on the 1st, another one on the 15th, and another one about the 30th in the same month. That's a half payment. Every 6 months, you have an extra half payment. That adds up to 13 payments a year. And with that, you can pay off a mortgage in 23 years. It saves you 7 at most. Our program, most of our clients who come on with a biweekly payment, they just cancel it because we're going to get them out of debt in an average of 7 to 9 years, not just on the mortgage, but all of their debt. That includes their mortgage, their student loans, their credit cards, and their cars. So my advice to your family is to get a savings report and find out and compare it with what they're doing and compare it with our savings report and see which one they would rather have.
Okay.
Okay.
And people, you heard that here from the mortgage whisperer.
Thank you very much, William. I appreciate the question. All right, folks, we're out of here. Okay. I've been here. We've been here. Let's see. How long we've been here? I don't know. We started at 8:30. Okay. Oh man. Okay. An hour and 40 minutes. But anyway, folks, I want to thank you very much for being here with me today. And folks, subscribe to the our channel. I need your help to get more eyeballs on this information. Tell people about it, especially if you know someone who is going through pre-foreclosure, how we can help them with their own bank and getting modified, taking a 40-year loan at the same rate and getting out of debt early because now they're being made current immediately. This 40-year loan is a lifesaver, and I mean it if you do it right. Okay? All right, folks, we are out of here. We'll be back next week with more good information. All right? We'll talk to you soon. All right?